Any predictions in chat? Load Opal Haskin, maybe? You think that... Wait, how can you tie 7-7? Surely it's first to 7 wins, right? What is going on? Yeah, I hope that Opal has good internet. I'm not just gonna get memed on. Oh, okay. Lemo. Okay, Opal is not rocking his new team tag. Guess it's not been informed yet, chatting. Yeah, Opal is a strong bet here. Cruel. Okay, enter, I can close that. Opal has WR with a 0.39. Simon is 4th world with a 0.45. So 0.6 between the two players going into the last match of the night in Div 1. Good luck, have fun. Opal with an early lead, but only 0.15. Goes for a full inside line, whereas Simon opts for his more outside approach, which gives him this lovely inside here. Opal keeps it out of the wall. Gets a good line, but he is still about 0.1 behind Simon for the moment. Out of the SD exit here, going into the last turn, Simon has a 0.17 lead, and he'll keep it across the line, driving a 0.7 first round. Simon is in the lead after one round. Simon Believers, Type 1. Opal Believers, Type 2. Damn. I guess you have the French. You're French, so you forced Type 2. Okay, round 2. Both cars inside of each other within a 10th. Within a 100th even. Simon with an unfortunate mistake trying to push. Opal with a 0.2 checkpoint. This is a fast time. It's a really nice end as well. This is a 0.6. Solid. Solid. But we've seen Simon drive faster. So definitely not insurmountable this time. It's ties things up at 1-1 though. Keeps it more entertaining. Opal super inside. Simon unfortunately just gets a tiny touch there. Whereas Opal is sending the apexes around. What is he doing? who really does not want Simon to catch up, and I don't think he will. This is a really, really strong run. This... Even with that adjustment in the end, it's a 6-0. Yeah, Opale was cooking that round. I'm not gonna lie, that was a 0.4 if I've ever seen one. More similar lines this time around. Opale has less than a 10th advantage going into the turnaround, into the tight section. Simon actually with more speed here. Opale with a wider line will help him with this entry. But Simon seems to get a better SD here. Less than half a tenth between the two cars. Opale going for an SD, Simon going for an SD. What a round. 0.60 beating a 0.62 to tie up the score on 2-2. On to round 5. On crawl. See Opale with a couple tenths in the lead. But saw Simon unfortunate touch on the apex there. Will lose the gear and will drop back almost a second. Just Opale needs to just drive it in safe to the finish and we'll take the round win. Get another 0.6. Strong times. W has a 0.39, so yeah, a 0.6 is very respectable, even if it is on the easier side of maps. This time it's a slightly closer start between the two players. See the difference in lines. Opale just a bit ahead, but loses out to Simon. Goes for a more inside line than Simon though, and will carry a tiny bit more speed and a better line. Going really close to the wall there. Simon needs to make up about 0.2 here. Gets a nice apex and will gain back a bit, but not enough. Another 0.6 from Opale, very regular. It's good pace. 4-2 in favour of Opale, but far from over. Going into this round, it's actually a better start from Simon than Opale, who goes a bit wider here. But gets a lot of exit speed. Opale goes to the earlier turnaround, more inside line, goes a bit wide, keeps it on the track though. Simon risking this inside line, he knows that even with a small mistake, Opale is still very dangerous. And Simon will hold him off with a 0.5. It's a nice time. So they're both showing up to this one. This is going to be a very good game, I think. 4-3 in favour of Opale. On Simon's map pick, but pace very even between the two players so far. Very nice start from Opale. Gaining just over a tenth against the shift player, who's starting to zero in on the Frenchman. And the gap is just over a tenth going into the last few turns of the map. Opale super close to the wall, somehow doesn't crash it but has to release, which will give Simon the lead off the round, and with more speed going across the finish line. That's another 0.5. I mean, another back-to-back 0.5s from S1mon. Leveling it 4-4. He's showing up for his map pick, that's for certain. Opale gets gear 4 in the start, I believe. That was what that noise was. And will be down almost half a second compared to S1mon. If S1mon has the HUD on, he needs to realise that he has quite a bit of time and space to work with here. Keeps it clean. Opale really pushing though. It's eating into this gap. But not enough road left. And S1mon will take the round. And for the second time this game, I believe, S1mon will be ahead of Opale. 5 points to 4. It's going to be a close one. It's going to be a very close match. S1mon played 2 matches today already, very warmed up. Opale, I believe this might be his first match today, so might be a little bit rusty so far, but still playing well nonetheless. Really solid pace from both players, but halfway into this map, and there's nothing to separate them. Both within a couple of thousandths. S1mon just missing the wall, will be slightly wider into this second last turn, but will allow him to get a good exit. If he keeps it out of the wall, which he won't manage, Opale's on a really fast time. He's possibly hoping for something faster. There we go. A 0.5 of his own to match the 2.5s that S1mon has already done. 5-5, 0.5s all round. Let's see who can close out the last 2 rounds needed for this first map. Both very similar starts this time around. Both with the adjustment line, but Opale gets it a bit better than S1mon does this time around. Gap's about 1/10.5. Opale will get the turnaround faster. He will be getting to the end sooner than S1mon will, and with that touch, it's most likely going to leave Opale with the map point. And it's another really fast start. It could be another 0.5, it could be faster than that. It's a 0.4, very nice time from Opale. I mean, if you're going to be losing to a time, then a 0.4 is, yeah, it's a respectable one to lose to. It's not as fast as S1mon's PB, but it's getting close. That puts the map point in Opale's favour, 6 points to 5. If ever there was a time where S1mon needs to lock in, it is now. He gets a decent start. Cuts that corner very aggressively. He might lose a bit of speed because of that. He's just lost out a tiny bit on Opale so far. But he gets a good SD. It's really close going into the last 2 slides here. S1mon risking the inside. Getting a better SD it looks like, but Opale gets just a tiny bit more exit speed. S1mon goes for the inside line, but cannot get the SD across the line. And that will be the first map to Opale, 7-5. I mean, S1mon with 2.5s, Opale with a 0.5 and a 0.4. A lot of pace in this lobby. A lot of pace in this lobby. So we go on to Opale's map pick, which is Slinky by Mao and Henkesme. Gear down, uphill Fiesta indeed. S1mon looked really strong on this map versus Tigu. Opale internet masterclass inbound as well. Although he's got better internet now, so it should be fine. It's all about that little micro release you do just to get that extra rotation on the car. Opale with a bit of lag, so we'll hope that he's... Okay, that's a DNF. It's not him just DCing. So PBs wise, on Slinky for these two players, Opale WR with a .665, S1mon has third place with a .878. But we've seen S1mon drive a .0 earlier today, so the pace... Okay, these are good. Into the first round of Slinky. Oh no, I can't spectate Opale. Hopefully Opale's internet just gives him mercy. I'm ready to switch the camera, should he have a bit of fun. Gets the Giga inside, but this does not set him up well for this uphill. S1mon has the lead. 0.4 is the gap. Opale having to adjust. Half a second in favour of S1mon, who goes a bit wider there, but it's quite a big gap to try and make up if you're Opale here, and that'll be the first round going in favour of S1mon with a 49.3. Could it be winning each other's map picks? It's very early on into map 2. Here we go. Opale's internet. Rage. Oh no. Okay, Opale with a Giga inside line. That's going to give him a massive lead, actually. Super inside line there as well. Keeps it out of both walls. Very good driving from Opale. Different lines in the end. Opale touching, but it's not enough. S1mon couldn't make up the deficit in the last turn. And that equals it out to 1-1. Yeah, jeepers indeed. This is a internet masterclass. Both players off to very similar starts. This time S1mon with the lead, but he's got a more inside line here, which isn't advantageous. So Opale will catch up. S1mon gets a more aggressive inside, but he will clip the apex of the turn, and that will cost him the round as long as Opale realizes he can safe. Opale just keeping it clean, doing what he needs to secure the map. Or the round win, sorry. The point of the map. And he leads his map pick 2-1. Although the pace hasn't been as fast as the S1mon Tiku game that was on earlier. So, know that S1mon has the pace, and Opale having WR with that 0.66, we know he can drive fast. It's just a matter of when they get the runs strung together. S1mon going wide, but keeping it out of the wall. It's a bit wider here as well. We'll eat some penalty snow, and this is not looking good for the Swedish player in this round. It's looking like an Opale round win as long as he keeps it clean, which he seems to be doing very well. Gap is almost 0.8, which will be insurmountable coming into this last turn. And then, okay, that's a like third 0.271, I think, of fast driven. Interesting. I think S1mon will be kicking himself though if he lets Opale be winning these rounds with with 0.2 highs. It's, both players are capable of significantly faster times. But maybe they've used up their focusing energy in the last map, where they had an absolute cinema 1v1 in Gear 3. Opale this time gets the snow. Not as badly as S1mon did last round though. Both players similar lines. S1mon's got a 10th and a half in hand. Go ahead of Opale going into the Gear 4 section at the end of the map. Can Opale make up the difference, or will this be a round win to S1mon? Opale more inside, S1mon more outside, and S1mon just about holds off Opale. Three points to 2, keeping it close, not letting Opale run away with it, which is good to see. So I'm a bit wider in the start than Opale. But similar exits, Opale with maybe a bit more speed and about a 10th in hand. Can he snowball it? It looks like he can. Almost a quarter of a second now before going into the gear down uphill. Still snowballing. Extra 0.1 there. Opale with a really wide entry. Gets a nice apex, will hold it through the turn, and he'll have loads of exit speed going into the Gear 4 section. S1mon has to push to gain back this 0.3, but he won't be able to. He's just running out of road. And Opale will drive at 0.8. Okay, that's a time that is very respectable. 0.8 is, that's actually... yeah, that's faster than S1mon's PB. S1mon has a 0.878, so that's a round you've got to concede. If you're gonna... losing to a 49.2 is unfortunate, but losing to a 48.8 is just, yeah, it's unlucky really. Opale is showing up, and he's got a good start this round as well. Has a couple of tenths on S1mon at the moment. Going into the uphill gear down slide. Opale eating a lot of penalty snow. Gets gear 2, couldn't gearbug to gear 3, and will lose a second because of it. As long as S1mon realizes that he's got this 0.75 gap, he should be fine to get the round win. With the touch on the inside, stopped him from getting a 0.1, but yes, the round win is the round win. The end of the day, and that'll make it 4 points to 3 in favour of Opale on his map pick. Really close so far. Just a reminder, the first map, which was S1mon's map pick, was won by Opale 7-5. So if Opale wins this map, he will win the match 2-0. But that is a huge slide out from Opale. And this might just be the leveling of the scoreline again on 4-4 if S1mon realizes that the gap is upwards of 5 seconds. Just. And with Opale DNFing, as long as S1mon doesn't DNF, that'll be the round. Okay, I know he's DNF'd, but still. XD. There we go, we're tied up 4 points to 4. On Opale's map pick, Slinky by Henk and Mao. Can we see a map 3 for the first time today? S1mon goes wide, gets penalty snow. We'll lose some time to Opale, who gets a really clean line through here. But the gap is only about actually a bit more than 2 tenths now, 3 tenths going into the last Gear 3 slide of the map. And as long as Opale keeps it on the road in the Gear 4 section, it'll be his round. With a 0.1, it's a solid time. S1mon knows he can beat that time though. He knows he can drive those 0.0s. 5-4 in favour of Opale. Very similar lines. This time it's S1mon with a slightly better start. Gets a better inside as well. Will be a 10th ahead of Opale, but Opale constantly through this match, other than that one round, he has got this uphill gear down slide really well. But doesn't manage to make any inroads on S1mon's lead. Almost 0.2 is the gap. Opale extending this Gear 3 slide. But still a 0.2 gap. Here we go, Opale needing to push this last slide. But the gap is large to S1mon in the lead, who drives PB in rounds. I mean, wait, when you need to PB, hey, fair enough. I mean, I think that's the fastest time this match so far. It's 5-5 now. He's really showing up. The shift player versus the ex-Evo player. It's a bit of a rivalry. They've only played, I think, against each other once before, which was in this iteration of PIL. That time it was Shift that came out on top, but can Opale get revenge? This round, oh, awful slide out there, or gear down, double gear down for S1mon. Will leave Opale all by his lonesome, out in front. On some good lines as well, it seems. Sub, there we go. That puts it 6-5 on Opale's map pick. Match point. Can Opale close it out, or will we see a 6-6? Either way, it's been a really, really close match. Really impressed with how both players have played. S1mon with a worse start than Opale on this round, but gets a lot of speed, minimizes the damage, gets a nice line as well, closes the gap, but Opale will be carrying a bit more speed into this downhill section, and then when it comes to the uphill gear down slide, S1mon's really pushing this. He's not letting Opale get away. The gap is only 0.1. S1mon knows this, S1mon's pushing, but unfortunately he gets the snow. And Opale with a wise adjustment there will close out the match 2-0 on points and 14-10 on rounds. That is very well played by both players. It's probably one of the closest matches in Div 1 so far, I imagine, in terms of both pace as well as just overall points.